I'm just looking at the number on my screen and I'm just like 22,000 freaking dollars on dining out, shopping, and groceries is disgusting. Hello, and welcome to another video. If you're new here, my name is Ebony, and honestly, I'm new here because it's probably my first video that I've filmed in ages for this channel, but we're turning over a new leaf in 2026. In 2026, one of those leaves will be starting our financial journey and honing down on it and like being a bit more serious and more structured and more strict. I feel as though I've always been pretty good with saving money and investing, but I kind of would like to hunker down a little bit more, especially at this ripe age of 33. So I've always been really good with tracking all of my expenses, going through my transactions each month. But in 2025, I just kind of felt like monthly reviews was just not enough. I would kind of review my budget at the well, not a budget because I didn't have a budget, honestly. My budget was either yes, I can buy this, or no, I can't buy this, and honestly that is not a budget. So for 2026, I decided to buy a true dashboard that I bought through Break Your Budget, I believe is what it's called. They have like a personal finance dashboard where you can track everything money. So I bought that for this year because I really wanted to hone in on my financial goals and actually have a true monthly budget. Like I put a dollar amount that I'm allocating for each category. And honestly, setting up a budget is hard and people don't talk about it enough. It's hard because you have to figure out like what do you spend your money on? What are like your essentials versus your non-essentials? What are your how are you going to categorize everything, thinking ahead and like what you have coming, also planning for the unexpected. It's just a lot. And I think that's why I never incorporated a budget into my life. I kind of just was like, yes, I can buy this. No, I can't buy it. And then I would just be like, oh, I shouldn't have bought this. Oh, I'm so happy I bought this. And for 2026, I just really, really need to hone down on my expenses. So in 2025, I spent $67,000. Yes, that does include like investing and savings as well, because I count that as money spent. That does not count into my 401k, is not factored into that because it's kind of like pre-taxed. In my HSA, I don't count into that because that's pre-taxed. Like I don't think I count any of my deductions into that amount actually, now that I think about it. This was like after deductions from my paycheck. So health insurance, 401k, HSA, Roth 401k, vision, dental, all that. This was like money that I brought home that I was spending from. So that includes me investing in my Roth IRA, investing in brokerage funds, obviously like my regular day to day. So groceries, health and wellness, gas, travel, personal care, shopping, all of the normal categories of life. But let's break down those numbers a little bit more as they relate to our 2026 goals. So, my money goals for 2026, and sorry, I have my little laptop here because I have my notes, and then I'll be showing my dashboard for how I'm tracking my money for the year. But so for 2026, my money goals, I would like to invest $15,000. Where am I getting $15,000 from? I have no idea. I just like to aim high. I like to aim high. I think last year I invested $12,000. And this year I kind of just wanted to increase it a little bit. I didn't want to keep like the same number again. One thing that is mandatory for me with like my paycheck money or like post-tax dollars or what is it, your gross pay, is that I max out my IRA, my Roth IRA. And if you don't know, the Roth IRA income or contribution limit has increased by $500. So the amount is $7,500 for the 2026 contribution year. And then I would also like to save $10,000. I would like to save that $10,000 between my emergency savings and then, or my emergency fund, and then also like I have a account for like saving for a home. Obviously I know that $5,000 and $5,000 is probably not enough for either one. That's why I would like to split it between the two, because I already have an account set up with money in it I'm just adding to it for the year. And then the most important one that relates to how I spent my money in 2025, I would like to severely cut back my expenses in three categories. So between dining out, groceries, and frivolous shopping. And frivolous shopping are like, I consider that trips to Marshall's, where I'm just gonna go look because I want to get out of the house, or trips to TJ Maxx because I just want to get out of the house. That is my vice. And I hate that. I do not like that. So dining out, I spent $6,167. Frivolous shopping, I put frivolous because I just feel like a bulk of this, I feel like is just for me going to Marshalls and TJ Maxx. But I am going to allow some grace in that I did move to a new city and I got a new apartment. So I did get new things for my apartment in order to make it like more homey. And that total came out to $7,738. This is absolutely disgusting. Like saying it out loud, I'm just like, I groceries, I spent $7,789. The fact that I spent that much on groceries and that much on eating out, it does not make any sense at all. So for 2026, I would like to aim to cut this in half. Honestly, it's more than half. I would like these three categories, dining out, shopping, and groceries, to equate to $10,000 this year. Another goal of mine, or another thing that I'm participating in to help cut back my spending, that I feel like, at least on my side of YouTube, that's showing up, is Project Pan, which I absolutely love seeing because I am good for going out and buying something new because I just want it, or I want a different shade, or I want a different color of the same thing, or I buy multiples of things thinking that I'm stocking up and it's saving me money. And honestly, no. So for 2026, I am participating in Project Pan. And if you don't know, Project Pan is when you use up what you have and you don't buy anything else until you use it all. So for 2026, basically, I'm shopping in what I have before I go out and buy. And that also applies to my pantry. I typically do my grocery shopping each week, and for the month of January, I was actually going to the grocery store with a list. And before I made my list, I would go through my pantry, see what I have, and I will advocate for ChatGPT here. If you take all your ingredients that you have in the house and put them in ChatGPT and ask it to make you a meal plan or tell you meal ideas, I think it's a phenomenal use of AI because it saved me so much money and it helps me to use up what I have. I have to get like my spending for groceries under control because I feel like it's only me. I didn't even share that. For reference, I am not married. I do not have any children that are humans. So I shouldn't be spending this much freaking money. So those are my money goals for 2026. Invest 15K, save 10K. Well, and I don't know if this counts as saving 10K or 11K since I'm trying to cut back, but we're going to cut back our spending on dining, shopping, and groceries. In those three categories, we're going to hope and pray and be diligent and disciplined in that they only meet $10,000. All right, let's talk money 2026. First, we're going to start with reviewing like my budget and what I spent in January, and then we'll do our planning for February. So this is the personal, like the dashboard that I use for my budgeting and like all things money. And so for January, we have a couple of reds. But some of the areas I did not plan account for fully when trying to create a budget, and some areas I just straight up overspent. It is what it is, okay? It's cool. So for essential expenses, these are the items that I deem as essential. Obviously, I feel as though essential and non-essential is very subjective. For me, these are what I considered essential. So for rent, which includes like my water, trash, and also my insurance, I budgeted for $16.20, but actually spending $16.98 because I did not account for like my water and my renter's insurance. And then, so I went over budget by $78. And then for groceries, I budgeted $425 and spent $411. So we have $13 left in our budget. And then for transportation, which is for gas and insurance, because my car is fully paid off, I budgeted $175 and spent $100. So we had $71 left in the budget. And then for pets, for reference, I have two cats. And so I budgeted $75 and I spent $144. So I went over budget by $70, and I was able to review all my transactions and I was able to see where I spent more money or how and why I spent more money. And that was because I switched back to using my little robot. And so I had to get more litter. I also got them some treats and a few toys. And so I ended up spending a little bit more this month. And I don't think I considered insurance into this. Or maybe I did, and it's just like an extra Chewy run. I think that's what it was. And then for utilities, which is electric and Wi-Fi, I budgeted $120 and spent 31. And you're probably wondering, like, why is my electric bill so low? My electric bill is usually about like anywhere between $60 and $80. I think now that it's getting cold. And speaking of cold, the snow has picked up. It is pouring snow. Is it pouring snow? I don't even know what to describe it as. It's the snow is coming down. um, but my company gives us like a $40 like remote worker stipend, like to set up your workplace. So like that $40 I just use towards my Wi-Fi. And so for Wi-Fi and electric, I spent $31. And then also I had like a Visa gift card that I got from like signing up for the Wi-Fi. And so I used that to prepay a Wi-Fi bill and my electric bill. So that's why my electric bill was only like essentially like $5 for December. And then for health and wellness, I budgeted $50, but I spent $102. And 20 of those dollars, or 17, 18 of those dollars, is because I overslept for my Pilates class and I had to pay the fee. So yeah. And then for self improvement, I didn't plan on spending any money, obviously, at the beginning of the year, but I bought this tracker and this was $49. And then for household essentials, I budgeted 50 and I spent 24. So I still had money left in the budget. And then for my non-essentials, so things that I consider non-essentials: restaurants, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, travel, self-care, coffee, beauty, and gifts. Um, I don't know. I don't know how I decided what was considered. I think essential were like things I was like, I have to have these things to exist. But I also saw someone put their subscriptions as an essential. So that's why I tell you that like essentials and non-essentials are very light subjective. So whatever you feel, you should do. So again, I might even switch up my essentials and non-essentials as I like get familiar and used to doing this whole budget thing. But nonetheless, for restaurants, I went over $85, as you can see. I'm not mad about it. There were some days where I felt like I just needed a break. And so I went out and enjoyed a meal with a friend, or like I also had like a couple meetups. In one of them, I decided to eat out for the activity for us to do a meetup. And then for entertainment and hobbies, I only spent $10, so I have $90 left over. For subscriptions, I spent $88. For shopping, I spent $42. This is where I went over. Travel, I spent an extra $87.98. I essentially had only planned for my portion of the Turo for my upcoming trip to Colorado this month or in February. And I also booked another trip with one of my friends. We are going to go to St. Martin. And so I paid with credit card points for the flight, but you should know when you use your points to book, you cannot use your points to cover like taxes and fees. So I had to pay that $98 out of pocket. And so between that and my portion of the Turo, I ended up going over $87. But I will say I did get a little discount on the Turo. I got $30 back on my portion, just because I'm the one that paid upfront for everyone for the Turo. And my credit card was running like a promotion where you get like $30 off. So I was able to save a little bit there, but still went over for the category, but it's fine. And then for self-care, I need to update this because I budgeted $100 because I was planning on getting a facial, but my mom actually gifted me a facial for January. So I just left a tip. And so I think I left her $20 or $25. I paid cash. And I think that's why I'm not thinking about it because I had cash in my wallet. So I need to update this to include that. And then for coffee, I included $20. Honestly, I felt like $20 was enough, like because I am like trying to continue on with this whole like making my own drinks at home. Because coffee adds up. I got two coffees, like two. I can remember when I got them and how much they were, and that I was not impressed by either one of them to have spent $15 on two coffees. So next is beauty. I had initially not planned to spend any money on beauty, but I ran out of my hyaluronic acid and they were having a sale on it. So I was able to get 2 for 1. So I did that. And then I also got a cleanser because I was running low on my cleanser. Um, and like I said, I don't want to be without any product completely. So I went ahead and re-upped on that. And then for gifts, I did not plan for this for some reason. I don't know why. But I bought a gift for my boyfriend and I bought a gift for one of my friends for her birthday. And let's review what we have planned for February. So for February, I am going on a snowboarding trip to Colorado. And then I also will be planning a or working on the logistics for my trip to the Caribbeans in May. So I have not accounted for that portion of my budget yet. So this is just what I have so far. Of course, this can change. So for rent, which is my water, trash, insurance included, $1,700 is what I rounded it up to. We're probably going to come in lower than that, but just to be on the safe side, just for budgeting purposes. And then for groceries, I would like to trim my grocery budget a little bit each month. So for this month, or for February, I decided to take off $25 and bring my budget down to $400 for groceries, $125 for transportation, $75 for pets, $120 for utilities, $50 for health and wellness, because I will be getting my butt up and making all of my classes that I book at 6 and 7 a.m. So no more missed class fees for me. For self-improvement, I put $0. I don't think I plan on taking any courses that'll cost anything. I have enough courses that I have already paid for over the last 2 years that I have never gone back and finished or never even started. So those are what I'm going to be focusing on this year. And then for household, I just kept it at $50. For non-essential, so that brings my total for essential spending to $2,520. And then for my non-essentials, for restaurants, I decided to bump it up to $300 because with this trip, I think I'm going to be eating out a little bit more. And then for entertainment, I bumped it up to $300, and I just put a little note here for myself as to why. So I increased it for my Colorado excursion. So snowmobiling, which I did a sinking fund for, and then the train ride that we'll be doing through the Royal Gorge. And so for subscriptions, I left it the same at $100. For shopping, I left it at $75. I still need to buy a few things for the trip. I'm not going to buy any new clothes or outfits, but it's more so like buying like warm gear. So like hand warmers, I need to buy a hat. I think I need to buy a thermal top. I'm still missing a thermal top. I need a ski coat still, and like heat warming waterproof socks or something of that sort. Like all that cold gear stuff that you wear when you're going like snowmobiling and snowboarding and things like that. I'm hoping I can, and ski goggles. How can I forget goggles? I'm hoping I can get all of that for $75. We'll see. For travel, I bumped it up to $300 because the payment for the Airbnb will come out at the beginning of the month. And then also I put in for the gas for Turo here. I think we'll come under $300. Actually, I might need to bump this up a little bit because I think my portion of the Airbnb is like $280. So I think I might have to bump this to like $350 to account for gas for the Turo. For self-care and maintenance, I put in $240, and that's because I'm going to be getting a monthly facial. That is something that I decided to add to my routine for 2026. So I do have a membership for facials, and that's $89 a month. And then I also plan on getting a massage or getting my hair done. So I accounted for 2 services here. So the facial is for sure because that's already booked, and then either a massage or a hair appointment. And then I also include some gratuity here. And then I just kept my coffee budget for 20 bucks because of course I'm going to try a latte in the Mile High City. And then for beauty, I just put $50 here because I do plan on probably repurchasing a few things. So I do need to, I'm running out on my toner and my exfoliator. And so I may get those this month. And I think I have a gift card as well to put towards the purchase. So that's always great. And then for gifts, my mom's birthday is this month. So I just allocated $50 for that. My mom is not a big gift receiver. Like, she really just doesn't want a lot of gifts. So it's pretty easy to get her something for her birthday. And then for nothing for debt payoff or credit card debt, for cash savings for right now, the only thing that I'm planning on saving is just like my last payment of my into my sinking fund for the Colorado trip. But I do need to figure out what my budget is going to be for both the Caribbean trip in May, and then my friends and I would like to go to Brazil for New Year's Eve. So I kind of need to figure out what the budget is going to be for that. I'm thinking somewhere around, from ChatGPT at least, I'm thinking it's going to be around somewhere about $3,000 to $4,000. I don't know. I will be using credit card points if I can. So there's that. So I do need to kind of like hone in on that and figure out what I need to contribute each month towards like my sinking fund. And then for qualified investments, I need to pull my 401k. I need to pull my pay stub and like map this out because it will remain the same for my 401k and HSA every month. Those are set contributions. And then for my non-qualified investments, I plan on maxing out my Roth IRA for 2025. So my final contributions for that will be $549. And then I'll be moving to maxing out my 2026 my 2026 Roth IRA starting in March. And that brings my total to $1,373 for the month of February. I feel like this was a long video, but I feel like it was very important in a good foundational setting. I feel like we've gone through a lot of great things. We went through how much I spent in 2025, the areas that I need to reduce my spending, my budgeting for 2026, what I spent in January, how I plan on going forward for February, and I feel good. I'm very proud of myself for actually doing this because I allowed myself to be so overwhelmed and nervous and anxious about setting a budget and doing the thing for so long that I never did it, that I finally was like, you know what, get a grip and get a budget. Like, millions of people have budgets. Billions of people probably have budgets. I don't know. And me feeling overwhelmed by trying to find the perfect tracker or planner and figuring out the numbers, thinking that I have to, what I set is like definitely set in stone. Like, all of that held me back for so long. But in 2026, that is no more. We are being accountable and we're being disciplined, and we are going to meet all of our financial goals for 2026. And so with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you're looking to start your financial journey, it is never too late to start. Each day is a new opportunity to start something else. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.